States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the April 18th, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting. On the agenda today, we have listed the line item budgets, and we do have some proposals to look at, which does fall under budget. So does everybody have their book?
Yep.
Okay, now we'll do it like we usually do. If there's questions or anything on a line item, just say hold. And when we go through all of them, we'll vote, one vote for all those that are not on hold, and then go back and discuss the holds.
Detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not the detail, the
Oh, but
FinCom.
okay. Which color is it? The
White.
White.
Okay, line item one.
So,
Oh.
actually, one is the salaries. It doesn't have a number. There's a little glitch right there. So they're all going to be off one, but maybe you could just say line 0, and then they'll all be right going forward, okay?
Okay.
Just so you don't miss that first one.
Right, okay. Okay.
We'll fix
Line-
it going forward.
Line item 0.
Hold.
Line item 1, purchase of services, $2,200. Line item 2, other charges, $700. Line item 3, personnel costs, $216,000, Purchase of services, $6,500. Supplies, line item 6, $8,000. No, boy, I even have a marker here. Line item 5, supplies, $2,850. Other charges, line item 6, $8,000. Line item 7, matching grant funds, $20,000. Okay, Finance Committee, personnel costs, line item 8, $3,589. Line item 9, purchase of services, $3,400. Line item 10, other charges, $200.
Top of the next page seems to have the same problem with the salaries.
No, it's just, no, it's the
No?
total personnel costs. We have them listed
Yeah,
separately.
remember-
So you just,
we-
okay, so you do it as personnel,
Yeah.
I see it,
Yeah, but
okay.
then we had them never broken out so people
Okay.
can see. Okay, town accountant, line item 11, personnel costs. Line item 12, purchase of services, $2,850. Line item 13, supplies, $675. Line item 14, other charges, $225. Board of Assessors, line item 15, personnel costs, $111,867. Line item 16, purchase of services, $27,249. Line item 17, supplies, $1,700. Line item 18, other charges, $1,380. Finance Director, personnel costs, line item 19, $241,144. Line item 20, purchase of services, $11,975. Line item 20, supplies, $7,375. Line item 22, other charges, $1,575. Okay, town council, line item 23, $100,000. Information technology, line item 24, personnel costs, $62,301. Line item 25, purchase of services, $75,080. Line item 26, supplies, $5,000. Line item 27, capital outlay, $42,400. Town clerk, line item 28, personnel costs, $104,513. Line item 29, purchase of services, $826. Line item 30, supplies, $1,575. Line item 31, other charges, $1,000. Okay, election and registration, line item 32, personnel costs, $9,300. Line item 33, purchase of services, $15,148. Line item 34, supplies, $4,000. Conservation Commission, line item 35, personnel costs, $80,277. Line item 36, purchase of services, $6,068. Line item 37, supplies, $1,300. Line item 38, other charges, $677. Town planner, there's a number missing in this one, although the total is correct. Longevity should be listed for $300, but the total is correct at the line item 39, personnel costs, $131,726. Line item 40, purchase of services, $38,645. Line item 41, supplies, $3,750. Line item 42, intergovernmental, $2,655. Line item 43, other charges, $942. Zoning Board of Appeals, line item 44, purchase of services, $500. Line item 45, supplies, $0. Okay, line item 46, other charges, $90. Okay, economic development, line item 47.
Actually, Mary, I'm
Oh,
sorry. So,
there's a-
yep, let's just call it 46 and a half for you right now. I'm sorry. This is what
No,
happened.
my eyes caught it.
Yeah, sorry. There was a lot of changes to this form to add in all those salary lines again, and we missed a few.
Not a problem. After all, we had an E and a half on,
That
A
is the
warrant.
law, yes it is.
which is strange. So line item 46 and a half, personnel costs, $19,223. Line item 47, purchase of services, $200. Line item 48, supplies, $1,200. Line 49, other charges, $200. Facilities, line item 50, personnel costs, $100,981. 51, purchase of services, $1,465. Line item 52, supplies, $1,425. Line item 53, other charges, $300. Town hall, purchase of services, line item 54, $45,715. Line item 55, supplies, $2,500. Center office building, line item 56, purchase of services, $41,910. Line item 50,
On 56?
Line item 57, supplies, $1,200. Okay, senior center building, line item 58, purchase of services, $25,149. Line item
Can we hold that too, please?
58.
58, please.
Line item 59, supplies, $2,500. Joshua Hyde Library Building, line item 60, purchase of services, $23,664. Line item 61, supplies, $1,650. Safety Complex, line item 62, purchase of services, $83,960. Line item 63, supplies, $9,500. Nursery school, line item 64, purchase of services, $2,000.
Okay, if I could just, so we need to add a supplies line in the nursery school for $350. So just for keeping track, just call it 64 and a half for right now, for the line item line.
What was the total amount again on this?
So it's $350 for supplies. And so the total will be $2,350.
Okay. 8 Brookfield Road, line item 65, purchase of services, $1,300.
Can we hold that 65 and a half?
64 and a half?
No, 65 and a half.
So actually, that's gonna go away, so that's now 0. It should
Oh,
have
that-
been
that
in,
new-
it should have been in the nursery school, and it got put in 8 Brookfield
Oh,
by
okay.
in
So-
error.
Oh, okay,
Oh, okay.
forget the hold then.
Yep.
Makes that easy. Okay. Department, police department.
Okay, before you, so there's a change in the overtime budget. So the chief has asked to lower that by $4,684. So the overtime will go to $436,016.
Say that again, Bob.
Yep,
please.
436,016 for overtime. And then the total for personnel costs will now be $2,742,184. 2,742,184
Okay, I want to put a hold on that.
on the overtime.
No, on the
Line 66?
personnel costs,
Okay.
is 66.
Okay.
Line item 67, purchase of services, $95,989. Line 68, supplies, $66,582. Line 69, other charges, $9,409. Line 70, capital outlay, $128,811. Oh, it's the other one. Fire department, line item 71, personnel costs, $393,369. Line item 72, purchase of services, $98,640. Line item 73, supplies, $75,100. Line item 74, other charges, $66,900. Building inspector, personnel costs, line item 75, $120,609. Line item 76, purchase of services, $1,620. Line item 77, supplies, $2,800. Line item 78, other charges, $700. Okay, line item 79, sealer of weights and measures, purchase of services, $5,350. Inspectors, electric and plumbing, personnel cost, line item 80, $55,000. Line item 81, purchase of services, $500. Line item 82, supplies, $500. line item 83, other charges, $2,465. Tree warden, line item 84, salary, wages, $2,719. Line item 85, purchase of services, $16,131. Line item 86, supplies, $675. Line item 87, other charges, $1,185. Okay, education. Line item 88, Burgess Elementary School, $11,770,442. Tantascwa Town's share, line item 89, $7,080,747. Line item 90, Tantascwa Transportation Assessment, $118,577. Line item 91, Charter School Transportation, $6,000. Okay. Department of Public Works, line item 92, personnel costs, $889,818. Purchase of services, line item 93, $68,280. Line item 94, $86,240. Line item 95, other charges, $2,200. Town road maintenance, 96, line item 96, private road maintenance, $6,000. Snow and ice removal, line item 97, $218,719. Landfill recycling center, line item 98, personnel costs, $113,425. Line item 99, purchase of services, $158,160. Line item 100, supplies, $9,270.
On Board of Health, before you start reading. Okay. The department head salaries needs to be adjusted to 72,000.
72,000?
Yep. So that,
Good.
go ahead.
Even?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Oh.
Even. And so that makes the total for personnel costs 97,807.
Oh,
Okay, line item 102, purchase of services, $6,971. Line item 103, supplies, $2,625. Line item 104, other charges, $1,815. Community health, line item 105. Community health care, total, only one thing, $4,000. Inspections and testing, line item 106. Personnel costs, $46,091. Council on Aging, personnel costs, line item 107, $133,566. Line item 108, purchase of services, $1,955. Line item 109, supplies, $2,355. Line item 110, other charges, $2,475. Line item 111, transportation, $4,000. Okay, Veterans Services, personnel cost, line item 112, $9,532. Line item 113, purchase of services, $250. Line item 114, 114, supplies, $575. Line item 115, the American Legion, $1,600. Line item 116, Memorial Veterans Day, $3,000. Line item 117, other charges, $500. Line item 118, Veterans Benefits, $50,000. Joshua Hyde Library Operations, line item 119, personnel costs, $375,809. Line item 120, purchase of services, $21,364. Line item 121, supplies, $3,500. Line item 122, library materials, $98,345. Line item 123, other charges, $2,650. Recreation, line item 124, personnel costs, $70,628. Line item 125, purchase of services, $11,203. Line item 126, supplies, $2,680. Line item 127, team sports, $7,500. Line item 128, other charges, $210. Okay, Trails Committee, line item 129, purchase of services, $300. Line item 130, other charges, $100. Historical Commission, line item 131, purchase of services, $800. Line item 132, supplies, $200. Debt service principal, line line 134, Burgess Elementary project, $918,000. Town Hall, line item 135, $175,000. Debt service interest, line item 136, short-term interest, $10,000. Line 137, Burgess Elementary School, $341,639. Line item 138, Town Hall, $60,203. Okay, is there a motion then to approve all the items?
There's
with-
one more page, Mary.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
This one, you gotta read every one of them.
I don't know what, I don't
It's,
know.
This one,
Yeah,
oh, I looked at that and I said, oh, that's just a summation.
Okay,
Oh, well, that's okay. I won't skip any then.
nope,
I'm gonna
get them all.
It's like where a lot of money is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Health, the insurance.
I know, okay. Line item, $139. Group insurance, $1,804,000. Line item 140, unemployment, $25,000. Line 141, Worcester Retirement System, $1,371,067. Line item 142, Medicare tax, $236,768. Line item 143, streetlights, $60,000. Line item 144, energy consulting, $4,000. Line item 145, town audit, $30,000. Line item 146 is school audit, zero. How often do we do that, Barbara?
Every 3 years.
3 years now. Okay, line item $148, legal fees, $15,000.
Wait,
Yep.
we missed that 7,500?
Oh, the OPED.
The OPEB. Do you have that 7,500 that I told you guys on Saturday?
Yeah,
Oh,
7,500.
I don't, because I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes, I
That's
remember
okay.
now. It's all coming back
So
to
the
me.
OPED is?
OPEB should be 7,500.
Okay.
That's line 147.
147, yep.
Okay, line 148, legal fees, 15,000. Line 149, tax title, 7,500. Line item 150, town report, 3,000. Line item 151, insurance blanket, 363,000. You two calling each other?
Phone's connected to my
that was
iPad, sorry.
But that couldn't have timed it perfectly. Line item 152, insurance deductible, 5,000. Line 153, reserve fund, 155,000. Line 154, student activity, 0. Okay, line item 155, telephone, 35,000. Line 156, postage, 21,000. Line 157, gasoline, 150,000. Line 158, water and sewer, 11,000.
We're a popular group.
It's that time of day.
Probably a Staples, you can get a coupon. Okay. Did I say 157? Gasoline, 150,000. Yeah, okay, water, line 158, water and sewer, 11,000. Line 159, copiers, 6,100. Line 160, slate roof maintenance plan, $10,000. Line 161, fleet vehicles, $1,500. Line 162, window cleaning, $3,100. Line 163, exterior paint, town hall, center office building, 0. Line 164, easy pass, $1,200. Line 165, electricity, 100,000. That's it. Okay, is there a motion now to approve all those not on hold?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Okay. Okay, now, we need to go back. Priscilla?
Yeah, the first one was the board member salaries. We never discussed it. That was something that Ted threw in there. And I just was curious as to how the board felt on this thing, on this topic. I had no idea because we've never talked about it.
No. Well, years ago, stipends were given to the board and to other boards, and then it was eliminated. And I had mentioned, I don't know whether it was at this meeting or another meeting, when I was at the MMA in January, at one of the meetings, there were several selectmen and then other departments. And there was only one person there that did not receive some stipend, the Board of Selectmen. That happened to be me. They run the gamut. Some of them have a chairman receiving more money than the others, which I personally don't think is fair, but that was just, but Ted was, he was adamant. He said, the Board of Selectmen works hard and they should get something. He said he knows in the town he was in before for 11 years or whatever, that they had a stipend, and then they eliminated it when they had a budget crunch. But when the numbers got better, they put it back in.
Can I ask Barbara a question through you?
Sure.
Barbara, when we were here that Saturday, if I recall correctly, you said something about we had a tight window, like $89,000 window. As you can tell from what we have today and what it looks like, do you foresee next year better or tighter? Just your own professional thought.
So I think absent new revenue sources, it'll be a tight budget year next year, but I don't have a crystal ball, so.
Right.
One of the things that, there's an article on here on the annual town meeting to approve a 3% local option on the recreational marijuana sales. That will bring in additional revenue. Two caveats. One, I know there's two interested in coming here.
But they
I
may
don't
not
know-
affect us.
I don't know when they will come. So there's all these, it's hard for me to say.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to, I remember what you said that day, and I'm trying to look at this from a perspective of a taxpayer, if it gets tighter. And you're right, we do have the potential for the marijuana, but if they don't open until April of next year, they bring us
Right.
pocket change, if you
Right.
will. So, and absent more debt.
There wouldn't be, so there's nothing proposed that would be more debt on the books.
Okay.
So I would say that based on what I see right now, absent new revenue sources,
Tight.
I think next year would be tight, yes.
Thank you.
I'll ask a follow-up too.
Mary?
So $6,250 based on the size of our budget. What is that per taxpayer? Because I know before you've,
It would be minimal, obviously.
yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
is it $10 or 20 or $5, $2?
It would be cents on the.
Cents, right? How do you, just tell me how you figure that out. I've been in
We
the
have
office
done it-
before
we-
where you told me
Yeah,
roughly.
and I've had the assessor do it for me, and unfortunately Ann is on vacation. I can get that information to you.
I just would like to know anyway, because sometimes
Right,
when
how
these
much
line
of-
items, there's holds.
Right.
It's useful for people to know what does that put on their shoulders.
Right.
And I think you said before, a $100,000 shift means something.
Yeah.
And I don't recall what it was.
I don't recall at the moment.
So I don't know, like $6,000, is that like a dime a taxpayer? That's
It would
the kind of thing.
be, it would be very minimal, but I will get you that
Curious.
exact figure, yeah.
Any other input?
I'll just add this, I mean, none of us have gotten any kind of stipend because they ended before we came.
And they were defeated.
Correct. So, I mean, obviously, we're not here for that purpose, but I will just add something to what Mary said, how it was traditionally some kind of stipend for more years than there wasn't. And I'm just going to say this, having just ran for the Selectmen, I think what other boards don't have as much is campaign costs, because ours tend to be contested more than other positions. And, personally, I was going to do it regardless, but I think that it does, I asked a few people who had some interest, I said, you know what, you should run for Selectmen. And they were very dissuaded, two people were, by like what campaigns can cost. And I just had said, well, you can always get contributions, like people were willing to give me like a roll of stamps or put up a big sign for me, which would cost them $100, and I declined all the help because I just didn't feel comfortable taking money from my friends or supporters at the local level. I mean, I know it happens a lot at the state level, but even taking, a roll of stamps is like $20, $25. And so I think it can dissuade like people who aren't in the middle class from even running for these kind of things, because it can get very expensive. It wasn't for me because I had signs left over from 9 years ago, but the cost of signage and stuff, and if you don't want to take contributions, you could also look at this as the town's way of kind of supporting cost to even campaign, because I know like if it will become a board of people who have means. And I don't know if that's what we want. I think we should be able, I think we should try to encourage people who are in like less of a privileged class to run. And I don't know if they can when, it's like, it could be like $1,000 to campaign and buy signs. And so anyways, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm curious though what 6,000 puts on each individual taxpayer.
Priscilla?
I agree with you on the fact that other towns do pay their boards. I don't have a problem with that. I, however, would not advocate it for the expenses of campaigns, because that's everybody's personal choice to do. I'm in a conundrum, Because we've been saying to recreation for how many years now that we don't want to burden anything and yeah, it is sense, I get it. But I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of a citizen who might say, are we self-serving? I personally would prefer if we had a committee of citizens that studied the stipends for the different boards that we used to have and how the stipends they'd get, bring it forward, because I remember when we did this before, it got defeated in a large way. And I'm not sure where I'm at yet.
It is difficult, but Mary, you were on the committee that studied it, and they advocated for
They
it.
did.
didn't they?
Yeah.
At the time, the study was definitely the majority of us. I was going to say unanimous, but I don't want to say something that I don't know if it's accurate, but it was definitely the majority of people supported it. At the time, Don Fairbrother, God rest his soul, was the chair, and he had done a tremendous amount of research on it, and the majority of towns all pay a stipend. And for decades and decades, the town of Sturbridge did before Jim Malloy ended it. So the past practice was a stipend. It's only been in the last, I don't want to, maybe 10 to 15 years that we haven't had one, but it was,
Well,
whenever Jim
Yeah, when I
ended it.
first got on, I received a
Oh, you
stipend.
did? Okay, so it's even less than I thought, but for the 50 years before that, or 60, they did. At the time, that committee also recommended other committees to get a stipend as well. The planning, a number of the committees that meet more frequently, I don't have a list right now anymore, but they also got paid something because we looked at other towns, and that was the majority vote. But as Selectman Jimis indicated, it did get struck down at,
Well, we don't necessarily have to make the decision. We can make the decision to delete it, or we can make the decision to leave it on and let it go to town meeting vote, even though the FinCom's already,
passed on it.
Right. Not recommending it. So
No action.
if somebody wants to make a motion one way or the other.
Yeah, I just, Madam Chair, I just wanted to say that, town is, we're probably going to head towards having, evaluation of salaries for town employees. And maybe, if it would fit within the budget, maybe we should ask whatever consultant the town hires for review of town employees, just to also take a look at elected boards and see, what the going rate is. I'm not suggesting that the town should or shouldn't adopt that, but as long as we know what the going rate for stipends for elected town officials is in our area, I think that would be some good information.
Plus, we also-
My position is, I don't think the town should pay more than what the value is, and also should not pay less than what the value added is. So, I mean,
Because
that's...
a lot of that information is
Yeah.
obtainable through the MMA.
Yeah.
They keep lists of, what towns pay different,
Yeah. But, I'd be interested to have not a committee, but an independent professional that knows, labor and salaries and stuff like that, to take a look at evaluating, what elected officials get as well.
Okay, so then,
I think that's a
You'd
good
be-
idea, that
you'd be-
removes
That
all
way-
of us from any,
you'd be proposing.
It's total,
then
I would
that
like...
we pull
if-
it and wait.
Yeah, rather than, I just would rather have an independent review of it, and then, then the town can decide what they want to do or not. But, so,
Well-
that's my position, is
Okay,
to, I don't want
so
it...
then you should make a
I think
motion to.
committee, when you have a
pull it.
committee, sometimes it ends up being, one group or another has a predetermined outcome, so it just doesn't work well sometimes.
I would support that because personally I was uncomfortable.
Oh, it's always tough
Being
asking
the
for
board
money.
person on that last committee in terms of deciding who got what kind of thing. But I would agree with Mike. Like I said, I do think that if you were financially burdened, you're not going to run for an elected office, and that's too bad, you know?
Okay, and this will also help Barbara with the numbering.
There you go, see, it's right. Maybe I knew something. I don't know.
Okay, so is anyone willing then to make a motion to change the number from $6,250 to 0 on the selectmen recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, then the next one was 11, Priscilla. Personnel costs.
Yes, it was a question, actually, it's not about the position. The longevity, I don't recall it from last year, but maybe it's the way the book was, I didn't recall it. How is longevity determined?
So the longevity is under our personnel policies, so this is a non-union position. Give me one sec.
While she's doing that, while Barbara's doing that, it was in the back of the book where
In the
they
back,
broke
that's,
out.
I missed it, I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
No,
But let
that's
me
why
ask,
we
let me
wanted to-
ask this then, in accordance to that too. Hold on a second. The town clerk. Find it.
Done.
Page,
Well, the lines are 28 through 31 for town clerk.
28 through 31, okay, thank you. Okay, so the town clerk has no longevity.
she's elected.
So,
Yes, but the fact that she's been here for 20 years, I think, I don't know, I'm
okay,
guessing
so,
somewhere in there.
all right, so let me answer your first question first, then I'll answer your second
Sure.
question. Okay, so the first question is, so full-time employees, once they're at least 5 years of service, receive $150. So in this instance, it's Chris who's going to, in 2020, hit 5 years here, so he's eligible. So it's new in his budget because
Correct.
he had not hit it. But for non-union, it's in all the contracts.
Yeah.
The Finance Committee had actually asked the same question, so I pulled all the information for them.
Okay.
But under non-union, 5 years and less than 10 years is $150.
Okay. Five and less than 10?
Yep, at least 10 years and less than 15 goes to 300. At least 15 years and less than 20 is 450.
Okay.
Over 20 years is 500. And then for part-time employees, that same schedule, but the numbers are 100, 175, 250, and 300.
Okay, can I?
Yeah,
Okay.
but then also, those schedules are all different. If you go to the union contracts, some of them are more money, but that's, you're asking about a non-union, so that's what I'm giving you right now.
What is
Okay.
10 to 15 again? Could you just, I just.
10 to 300.
Okay,
Janae gave us the personnel book.
hang on a second. Yeah, I have a couple of
Gave us the
questions then on
personnel
this,
books.
Barbara, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. May I? Madam
Yes.
Chair? Okay, the police department, for one, has longevity. Is that for the officers like, that are not in the union? Is that's?
No, that would be everyone. So longevity for the
That
whole
includes the
department.
union people?
It does.
Ah, okay, so it's part of the cost, okay,
Yeah.
I got that one. Now, I have another one. Okay. The senior center, council on aging, I'm assuming that's the senior center?
Yep.
Okay, it has 350. Who is that for? Because the senior center director's not here 5 years.
No, it wouldn't, but there's 4 employees, so
So it's the
there's.
employees, it's not the
two-
director?
It is not, there's 2
Okay,
employees.
that's what I was asking, because I wasn't sure. Okay. I think that answered all of my questions.
And then your question regarding the town clerk.
Yes.
So because she's elected, she does not fall under the personnel policies.
I thought that might be the answer, but I figured I'd
Yeah,
ask anyway.
that is the answer.
Thank you.
Okay, so then is somebody willing then to make motion on the personnel cost line item 11 for the $93,097?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Can I ask a follow-up?
Mary?
I
I think maybe as a board, we should consider, the whole idea of longevity is kind of a thank you, because this isn't a lot of money. It's really just a thank you for loyalty and years of service. I mean, that's kind of the definition of longevity. And that really shouldn't turn on whether or not you're elected or you're appointed, by our town administrator. So I'm wondering, how can we just have a warrant article? I'm just speaking for myself now. Can we have a warrant article or a bylaw that would say elected employees are entitled to longevity increases similar to those that are subject to the personnel handbook? Like, how would we rectify that? Because to me, it kind of makes no sense. Longevity is years of service to the town. It has nothing to do whether you were elected or not elected. And I know it's not a lot of money, it's more principle.
Well, there is a difference. Don't forget the Board of Health is elected.
Right.
And everything, so.
No, I know, I would agree with the Board of Health as
I
well.
personally would not be in favor.
But what would be the reason? Just because they are elected?
There are.
The agent isn't elected?
I mean,
The what?
The agent isn't elected?
No, but she's appointed by an elected board. They have their own
No, but the health,
rules over
But
there.
she-
The
she's still
health
under the
but the health
policy, though.
agent would be under the personnel
policy.
policies.
The Board of
She's
Health
hired,
agent?
works for the town.
That's what I thought.
yeah, so, I mean, here's where I'm
Not
coming from.
the,
Let's say tomorrow we because I know some town clerks are elected and some are
Right.
appointed. I know, and I think in this Commonwealth, it's kind of split now. I don't know, we looked at it years ago. I think the Finance
not-
Committee actually.
it's not
looked at-
even like that
it's-
anymore.
they're
It's
Probably
more
more
appointed.
More appointed. At one time, it was more elected, because I know
Yeah.
Finance looked at it back when I was on it. So, to me, if she became appointed tomorrow, then suddenly she's entitled to the 500. Just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense based on the rationale for a longevity payment. That's where I'm coming from.
Do you want me to, you go, or I can,
I think it's really a policy decision. I
Yeah,
don't-
for some other day.
Well, for some other day, and then, I don't know, and you can help me with this, how do you provide number of sick days? How do you provide number of vacation days? I mean, there has to be some policy on that for that office, right?
right. So do we want to get into this today, or?
No, I'm just,
No.
when she brought up longevity, I was just surprised that she didn't get not her personally, but that
Yes.
the town clerk, because it's elected, no longevity, and
Right.
it seemed a little just odd.
It is odd, but she also, oftentimes our town clerk has gotten more money for salary based on the fact she is elected and she can stand up at, or if it was a he,
She
at town meeting
Town
and
meeting.
ask for more.
And they can ask for longevity that way, I guess.
In line with what the town administrator said, sick leave, does she get sick leave now? I mean, that's a new one for me. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Well, that's what I was saying. What rules do apply, what rules
So, all right, let me
don't?
just,
Does she
let's
get-
we'll just go there. Okay. So,
That's what for the town.
so, as an elected official, the real,
I know she can work one
You can-
day a
exactly.
year.
You know where
I
I'm
know
going,
that.
right?
Yeah, I do
Okay.
know that.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, and I think that's why historically you'll find that elected officials don't really fall under the parameters that other appointed employees do, because they don't answer the town administrator, they don't answer to the Board of Selectmen, they answer to the voters. So in the case of the current town clerk, though, we have continued, and she has been very, she has followed she takes her vacation and she takes her sick days based on what she has accrued, and we have continued to accrue because that's what she wanted to do when she came on board. And I think that's probably a checks and balance for her too, that if anyone asks, she's basically following the schedule even though she doesn't need to. So we have continued to do that for her. I would say that to your question, Mary, regarding, what would have to be done, the personnel policies of the town are adopted by the Board of Selectmen. They do not go to town meeting. So I would say that you probably could make a statement in the personnel policies that it applies to the elected town clerk and call that out specifically. And then it gets rid of your concern about any other elected official, because she's really the only elected official we have who is here Monday through Friday in a full-time capacity. So I think that but until you do that, I don't
And
think.
we would have to check if she would even want that. But it just struck me
Yeah,
as
right.
odd with longevity, which is a loyalty to the town
Correct.
kind of stipend.
But she's kind of in this,
I
you
get
know,
it.
area,
Oh.
and, you know, and this again, prior to Jeff coming here, but we had the whole issue too regarding, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, when she got up on town meeting and she.
Last year.
Was it last year? Thank you. And asked for more money in her salary account because she did not fall on basically the step and grade system of department heads. And so that was kind of a discussion that happened, and based what happened at town meeting, and again, prior town administrator, but we basically said, going forward, let's just move her along in the step and grade, because again, she's kind of hanging by herself. She is a department head, and so, in this year, she's not on an exact step, but what I did is I took basically the differential between the steps and applied it to her number, so she is moving up in the step and grade, just not on an actual step. And she's fine with that. She understands that she won't be on a step till she maxes out. So, yeah, we kind of are treating her two different ways depending on the situation.
It is, it's a topic maybe for another
sure,
day, but.
for sure.
It is.
And it's not a lot of money that we're talking about.
I know, that's why I looked and said, you know.
Plus
And
also
she didn't, she didn't ask me, this was only because she's here for 20 years. That's the only reason I brought it up, not because
Oh, no,
I've
no,
not
no.
had conversation
No,
with her at
that's,
all.
no one thought that. Also, the next charter study committee could look at elected, switching to appointed, make life easier. Okay, so the next hold, oh, we voted the number, didn't we? And then Mary had the question. Okay, 56.
I had a question on what the purchase of services is that went up almost 11,000 for the center office building.
What line number was that again?
56.
So if you turn to page 17 in the green tab.
Yep.
Under purchase of service, the last item, so there's chair cleaning for $1,225, repair exterior insulation of chillers, $2,650, repair interior insulation of HVAC, $2,825,
Okay.
and then interior exterior maintenance for $4,000.
Thank you. Sure. I'll make a motion to release that
Okay, and to approve the amount
and to approve
of
it, yes.
$41,910. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that was 56. 58, Priscilla?
Same thing on that one, too, purchases of services that went up in the senior center building.
So that's on page 18. We added $4,000 for interior, exterior maintenance. So that's the bulk of that amount, and, let's see.
Yeah, basement floor, $750.
Interior, exterior maintenance.
Yep, so that's almost the whole thing,
Okay.
$47.50, and it went up $53.32.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make a motion to release and accept the figure of $25,149.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 66,
I think you had a whole, I released mine because she answered the question, but.
no, I just have my consistent concern about the SRO officer at the junior, senior high. I still firmly believe that the other towns should be paying their fair share, or it should be in the school budget. We have not heard anything from the chief about the idea of all the other towns' Staten SRO offices and sharing in that. The other towns are thrilled, and the school's thrilled that we are paying our full share. And I personally, nothing against SRO offices, but I am certainly against Sturbridge paying the full price. But I will release the hold on that, and somebody can make a motion.
Make a motion to release the hold on line 66 and approve the amount of, this is the changed one, Barbara, I think it's $2,742,184?
Correct.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And one opposed.
I have a police department question. I don't have a hold on the budget, but I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up because it deals with his budget and his request at the Saturday meeting. So I'll just put it out there, and you can say it's time for another day, because it's going to be something I want the chief Ford to give to us. I know he was advocating for more dispatchers, because his goal, from his perspective for safety, is 24 hours a day, 2 dispatchers on duty. And we just hired one at the special town meeting, and he indicated, according to my notes, that now he has 40% of the time he has coverage with 2. So I guess what I want to know is how many hours per day and/or per week are we now covered because of that additional SRO, because of that additional dispatcher that was
Another one?
hired? In other words, were we able to increase coverage 2 hours a day, 7 days a week? I want to know what kind of impact that additional hire had. And then I'd also like to know, in the month before that person began working, how many times did an emergency call have to get diverted to another town before that dispatcher, and how many times after we hire that additional dispatcher has emergency calls had to go elsewhere? Because I think that's going to give us a good indication of what kind of impact adding a dispatcher does. Because as he explained, the emergency calls are not getting answered because of the dispatcher. They get diverted immediately. So I just want to know, how often does that actually happen?
Jeff wrote it out.
Okay, good. So that's my police department budget question.
Chief could probably have that by
Yeah, and those are all-
next time he comes in
Yeah.
for his.
I'll make the request when the meeting's over.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the last hold was 101.
Board of Health, do we have a Board of Health agent? What made the salary go up?
Nope.
That's an offer to an agent, and the offer letter was supposed to have gone out yesterday. The offer is 68, and when they get the registered sanitarian certificate, it'll go to 72.
And I'll just add to that.
Mary?
I did have a conversation with Linda about that, and she said the amount that was originally budgeted is just entirely unrealistic from a marketing standpoint, with the kind of education we expect, duties, responsibilities. You're not going to be able to hire anyone for $60,000, is what she explained to me. That's her perspective.
I will just add, though, that the budget number that I put in was based on what we were paying the previous agent. So the market did dictate for that person that salary. I think it all has to do with level of experience. And so for the person they're looking to hire, it did not bear out at that figure, but.
I just said this is.
Right, and again, you know, when the budget was put together, there was no person in that position, and so.
Got it.
Yeah. And we don't typically budget at the high end.
I get it, but it
I
has been my
understand,
experience
yes.
since sitting here that we've been hiring people higher than the person who is exiting in the various positions, so.
Yeah.
Of course, we've also, and I'm sure you have it in your paperwork, been, I don't want to use the word warned, but notified that the Board of Health tends to not follow
Right.
numbers like other departments do. They tend to give more rather than consistent with the way other departments offer.
Through the chair, I just want
Yeah.
to, you're touching on a question that I had was, there's a formal step and grade for this position?
Yes.
There's a formal step and grade system, and this person's being put in this
No.
specific step?
They will not fall on,
No.
they are not going to fall on a number in the, but,
Why not?
because that's
How Board of Health runs?
that's how they usually.
Well, the Board of Selectmen sets the personnel policy for the town.
Yeah, but they're separate.
The Board of
Yeah.
Health has total
Yeah, they are.
autonomy as to,
Yeah.
they, yeah,
Yes, they are.
they do. and-
Yes, they
and
are.
several years
I was on
ago,
the Board of Health, we didn't have total.
Well, that was in the old days.
Yeah,
No,
That was before they told you
No.
that.
yeah.
Well, they think they have.
Board of Health
They
here or
do
Board of
have.
Health somewhere?
They do.
No, no.
They do according to the state. We went through this when
Okay.
Alyssa was here. Remember, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah.
When Alyssa was here, we went through this, and we were told very directly by the state that they're in charge, and they call the shots the way they want them.
Yeah, and we went through it even previous to
Prior-
that.
prior to
when we
that,
were over at the senior center. I forget what the issue was then. We went to council and the state and,
Well, they have a natural check and balance because it's still
Yeah,
a
well,
line item in the budget that has to get
I-
appropriated
I-
at town
I-
meeting.
I
so.
do agree that the salary that the town administrators negotiated.
I
or-
had nothing
or
to
do with
Board of
that.
Health is negotiated, it appears to be in the ballpark for a registered sanitarian, so, you know, I mean, what we had in there, you're not gonna you're not really gonna get anybody that has the education, experience, and registration, so. So, yeah. And we already voted to approve it anyhow, so.
okay, that is it
Wow.
on the line item budgets.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm gonna,
we'll be here.
we just have
You
this.
sound worse than you did last night.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit more congested.
Yeah.
I think that's
which one?
because it's coming up.
Did you vote on 101?
Yes,
The
because.
Board of Health one?
Didn't the question come up after we voted?
I'm not sure you voted,
Well,
to be perfectly honest, but.
See, sometimes we talk too much.
Sometimes.
I don't see a motion or a vote on that one.
I'll make a motion to release the hold, and I don't have a number in front of me, but vote for the number of
97,807.
$97,807.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Barbara, what was the total?
The grand total of the budget,
No,
Oh.
line 101.
97,807.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My 7 looked like a
Is
2.
that all the holes, or is there still more? I think that was it. Yeah, 97. There is one that says that.
You voted Mary.
Okay. Oh, you already voted on the whole budget?
Well, the line item we held.
Just the 97.
Oh, okay. I was like, I really
97.
left it.
We,
01.
oh, we did so much
We already-
talking, I
that's
forgot to
fine.
take a
No,
vote.
that's fine.
Okay. Okay, now, next we have the warrant articles, and they do contain money, so we are able to discuss them under budget as opposed to warrant. Okay. Okay, let's see, where are we? So after all the confusion with all the different proposals, we have 3 proposals now. the proposal for the senior center addition to existing facility. We have a proposal for 60 Cedar Street, the Cedar Pond Recreation Area. And then we have a joint proposal for recreation fields and new senior center at 70 Cedar Street. Now, I printed them out at home, and I printed out the cover letter, and I was kind of surprised because it says in it, it was our impression that the senior center was likely moving forward with a full feasibility study separate from these proposals. So that wasn't my interpretation. I thought we were going to get a full feasibility study.
And that's the comment I made back to
Oh,
them.
Peter.
So I would say that 2 of these 3 really aren't relevant to what we're looking for. Because my understanding, my takeaway was, at least on the senior center, you wanted to know what would a turnkey project at 480 be versus a turnkey project on 470. This firm is no longer able to provide that since they no longer have an architectural department. So I think from that perspective, those 2 proposals, number 3807 and 480 Main, or 3779, really don't meet what you're looking for. From a warrant perspective, what you could do is, if you're still interested in those 2 numbers, which I think we are, we want to know what this stuff costs, right? Plug a number in the warrant, and we'll do an RFP for a new firm to do the study, based upon the needs assessment that's already been accomplished by CME.
Yes, because that's where I thought we were going. Ken, could you come down for a minute, please?
Now, the one thing in 3807, the joint proposal, where is it? The one thing that could be done initially, but I think doesn't really get us too far, Phase 1 is a $12,900 master plan. What that would do is look at 70 Cedar and tell you what you could fit on it. It wouldn't give you numbers or pricing on anything, but it could tell you what physically would fit in terms of a senior center building, the recreation fields, the parking, and those kind of things. So I think that's really the only benefit we get from proposal 3807.
Can the existing firm do 60 for the
Yes,
rec?
they can do, 60 is,
That doesn't require an architect?
no, that's civil engineering, and then they would have someone design the field. And then they would have to bring in a lighting contractor to design the lights, but they could handle that. And I asked them specifically, can you do the 60? And they said, yes, they don't need an architect.
Okay, thank you.
Ken, now, your understanding of where we were heading. See, oh, this is Ken White, he's
Yes.
chairman of the Senior Center Study
Well,
Committee.
before all this confusion started, we had voted on number 3807, or a joint article that we had talked with Annie with, and they came up with a proposal. She wanted us to vote on it, and we did, and that was let me get all this paperwork. A new 5,000 plus or minus square foot single level senior center with no less than 45 parking spaces. A section of this new facility would be used by the recreation department for 25 plus children. It's escalated to 40, so I guess that's 25 plus. Children during inclement weather and other activities. The recreation department will also pursue the construction of a regulation I've got softball field, but that's gone up to,
All-purpose.
that's gone up to a Legion-sized field, and possibly other future amenities separate from the new facility. That's what I thought we voted on. I think what when the problem was, we were going to keep our article for the new facility on 70 as a backup. And I think Annie, Recreation Committee, didn't have one, so I think that's where all the confusion was. And so they had to, can you come up and explain what
Sure, yeah. I think there's a couple issues in the first proposal that if we looked at it,
right.
just because I'm really not comfortable with the way 3807 was revised. From the meeting that we had with the engineers, I thought we had a really clear focus where we were getting one proposal that's broken down to 3 elements. 3807, the way it's revived and it has 3 projects, the studies are incredibly high. Originally, the first quote we received for 3807 was $74,300, and that looked at 60 and 70 Cedar Street for the joint proposal. So now if we remove 60 Cedar Street, which is 12 acres, it's costing us $300 more based off of this. So right away, that's a big red flag. Also, my other big concern, sorry, I'm trying to make my notes as I go. We were also under the impression with that joint proposal, when I had asked CME, the joint proposal comes with 3 conceptual plans. What's the cost to add a 4th that shows rec only if the senior centers were told to stay where they were? That was only $1,500 more. And what I verified at our meeting 2 days ago on Tuesday was, wouldn't we be looking at the joint proposal, the number that we have, $74,300, removing 60 from the language, 60 from the cost? If we added 2 more conceptual plans, 1 for rec only, 1 for senior center only, that was only $3,000 more. I was expecting the total for this entire study to be pretty much where we were already at, the number we were already given. I'm really confused by the way that it's broken down. I'm really confused on number 2 and number 3, how it could cost almost $70,000 to look at 60 Cedar Street for rec only, but for the same amount of acres, give or take, significantly less to look at 60. Never mind, it's almost $8,000 more to look at rec only when we're not looking at doing a building, sewer, water. So right off the bat, this proposal through and through I think is very confusing, but my biggest concern is how the joint project can lose 12 acres but go up and cost $300. And CME already has it in writing to me that a conceptual plan would only cost $1,500 to add per plan. So if we went with our original proposal for 3807 and we kept the request to remove 60 off, I was only expecting to see $3,000 more. We talked about that at the proposal, at the meeting on Tuesday. So I'm really hesitant to get into a further discussion just because I don't think this reflects anything that either of us took away, at least from our meeting. Never mind, I was expecting to see a $3,000 to $5,000 increase, not a plan for 74, a plan for 68, and a plan for 62, give or take.
I don't disagree. I think we ought to scrap this one. We ought to scrap the one for 480. The only one I think is applicable at this point is the one for 60 specifically, and then find some other firm because this firm can't do the work we want them to do.
Yeah, I mean, it boils down.
I agree 100% with both of you.
I was shocked that option 3, senior center only, was 61.7, but option 2, rec only, was 67.5. $6,000 more, no building, no sewer, no water. Their figures just don't
make
jive.
sense.
They just don't make
Yeah.
any sense at all. Here's where I think, I'm just putting this idea out there, I don't want to hold up anything, but if we have to go to a new firm because they don't have an architect anymore,
I'm wondering if we get a better package, also going to a new firm for 60, rather than sticking with CME for 60 Cedar Street, which they said they are capable of doing because they only need a civil engineer. Because I'm just not impressed with their other proposals for the senior center or for the joint senior center rec. So I don't know why we should be smitten with their ability to go forward with 60. I
Well,
think we should
is
just
the-
give one firm all of the business. That's what I think. But again, I don't want to hold up, I know, 60
Rec
Cedar
is-
Street has been earmarked. It's not going to cost anywhere near what these other proposals are going to cost because there's no building. It's
Well, now
but-
I really share the same concern that you do, just because I left Tuesday's meeting feeling really confident. We had a plan. We knew exactly what to expect in terms of numbers. In their updated proposal for 60, the number stayed consistent. And it's something I'd have to talk to the town administrator about. All of the other numbers are so random and they're so inconsistent that it's making me worry for 60. We've also had a hard time with tracking down. They were supposed to be getting us the quote to do the electrical circuits, just so something we can plan from the very beginning. The design work for that, because they can't do it in-house anymore. And that's, I don't believe we had received it, but I can double check. It took me a little bit to get that.
So you would be in agreement with me about having 60 also with the new firm? I just
I
feel like
probably want to
one.
figure out a little bit more details and ask.
Yeah,
either
my
town
sense is
administrator.
one firm should do all of it. And I think we'd probably you would think we would get a better price than if 60 went to CME and then 70, went to a firm with an architect. The other thing I wanted to add is, it only came to light relatively recent that they're down their architect.
Yeah,
Because I
rec
know-
still was never informed.
I know I spoke with you a number of times about these proposals,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, I'm waiting for them to get back to me, I'm waiting for them to get back to me. And you had some concern about the lack of promptness in getting back to you. And none of us knew that they don't have an architect. So I don't think, even if it was not omitted in good faith, I'm not going to go there. I just don't think that it was a good practice not to tell us early on they were down their
They
architect.
told
Madam?
me a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not.
Madam
What women-
Chair?
Hold on, real quick.
Chase's hands
I
get tied.
I think we're all in agreement, and I think the best thing for everybody is if we would try to get all this under one firm. And I think, and we don't want to hold anything up. So I think, is there any way to do what the town administrator said, with appropriate a number, try to figure out a number, appropriate that, and then give an RFP to one engineer to handle both 60? Because I hate to see 60 go to CME and the others go to another. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does in a sense that different firms are more expertise in different areas. You may have a firm that's great with buildings and knows nothing about fields.
Madam
So-
Chair? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
That's
thought you
okay,
were
Mike.
almost done.
Excuse me, almost done. So I don't think we should, bank on just getting one firm to do it all. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, that's what happened here. I mean, CME, from day one, when they did the needs assessment, Leon was working on it. It was like pulling teeth to get a response from them, and it took forever to get the needs assessment done.
I just,
Yeah, so why should we give them 60s business? I agree.
under building construction laws in Massachusetts, you have to go out with competitive proposals for building construction, period. You cannot just hire that CME. You have to go out for competitive proposals. That's, that's state law. So, and, we had a discussion, in my opinion, we should also, in our budget figure for a town meeting, include the cost of an owner's project manager. And the stuff that went on with the feasibility study here and all that would not have happened if we had a good owner's project manager overseeing the whole thing. So I think we should budget, we're budgeting money, we're not hiring CME or anybody else. The rec committee, because it is a civil engineering project, a ground level project, not a building construction, they can basically hire whoever they want. But when we're talking about, even a feasibility study for the senior center, we can't just go hire anybody. We have to do competitive proposals.
Oh, no, yes.
Well, and
Yeah.
That's where I thought we were going,
Yeah.
to a real,
So I thought we were getting a
Feasibility.
budget figure here, and these numbers, I'm not confident that it's a
Jeff?
good budget figure.
Jeff?
That's the problem. I think we might be a little bit low. But how much money, I have a question, Madam Chair. How much money do we have left in the original feasibility study
Is there about
appropriation?
16,000?
16,775.
Okay, so we have some money left that we could spend.
Seed money.
For the senior center study. So, but we need more money for that. And we
Yeah.
need money for, whatever the Parks and Rec wants to do.
That's why on our warrant for the expansion, we only asked for 10,000, because we had that 16,000
You already had this.
in hand. So,
Yeah,
But
it's-
CME had said that they could work with Lynn Smith, the architect for the first feasibility study.
Yeah.
They could work with her on this, for the architectural side.
No,
Yeah, they, all along, not to knock them too much, but they keep saying they can do things, and
Yeah.
they don't do it, and what they do is
Well, we can only go
We're-
by what they're telling us.
long down the line. So we do
We've
have to
spent-
make some decisions. So the proposal 3807. Priscilla?
I just have a question. If we, maybe through you to the town administrator or both, but if we go to another firm, will we be able to have a figure in time for the town meeting? I'm concerned about.
Town meetings, June 3rd, no.
No, but I don't think we should rush. I mean, Annie and the rec committee has already voted and approved 60, haven't you? So I would believe that they want that warrant article on.
Good, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's my
that one.
concern. Yeah.
That
Do
one.
we, and maybe this is a nuance I'm not familiar enough with, but do we have to have a set number to put in the warrant, or can we just take an estimate?
Yeah.
Just put an estimate in the warrant?
Right, no, this is what I would, can I?
Barbara?
So what I would recommend is we just, wrong papers in my hand. So change the warrant articles to say, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash and leave it blank, right now.
Moderator will let you.
Yes, he will.
Oh, you
The-
talked
the-
with him about that?
The article can be blank right now, and then we will make a motion for town meeting that will have the dollar amount
We
in
won't
it.
have the RFP back by then.
By then, so we won't
gonna
have a
take a
dollar
By
third
amount.
June?
No,
June?
you might, but that's iffy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because if you're going to do a competitive bid, and I agree with Mike, we're going to be specific in this RFP on what we want as deliverables.
Yeah, it's gonna
right?
take a
You're going to
while.
want a full, you want a rendering, you want full site costs, you want full building costs, you want to add to the estimated budget an owner's representative to oversee it and all these
Well,
things,
Now,
right?
I read where you quoted, and that, the way I interpret it, is not necessary at this step.
Yeah.
But,
And I don't
all
know
we
how we
need-
got CME in
yeah.
the first place. That may have been a competitive
Yeah,
process.
you should.
no,
Because engineering is exempt from
Yeah.
competitive.
but,
Except if it's
and they've
related to
done
building
engineering
construction.
stuff in the past for the town, but.
Right, flat
Okay.
construction, not
So,
vertical, yes.
So can we
we
just?
can chuck the joint proposal.
Which is Article,
Well,
which?
Do you want to remove it from the, I get we can throw out this proposal, but are you
Yeah.
going to remove it from the warrant?
Yes.
No, I don't, I don't think we should. I think we should.
The joint
We should
proposal?
we should have a budget figure to do, I mean, when, town meeting doesn't vote on proposals. In fact, we should wait until after we get an appropriation before we waste the architect's time submitting a proposal, because it may not be approved. So all we need is a budget figure from an architect saying, well, I would do, or a couple of architects, like, you can.
Yeah, but that's.
Well, without providing him a
that's gonna
scope, the
take-
number's not going to be worthwhile.
That takes like a day.
No.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
No
Because they're
way.
going to ask scope, they're going to ask site, they're going to ask what's
Well-
available and
Yeah,
everything else.
it's
You, but
a request for proposal.
This
You
is
really
not-
have to, you've got to have it
The
written.
final-
It's going to take a while.
But you,
It's,
but you can get a budget figure. You don't need a detailed proposal at this point. You don't need it.
I
but
agree,
you
we don't
need
You don't need
something.
you need a budget figure on, we know what the rough scope is.
Well, you've got a budget figure here of $75,000. I mean, somewhere plus or minus that is
Yeah.
probably what you want to put in the warrant,
100,000.
right?
Yeah, add in an owner's
Add in
project
10.
manager to start out for, I don't know, another 10,000 or something.
Well, why do you need an owner's project manual for the RFP process?
Because they would help with scoping. A professional would help scope us on the project. Okay?
Okay.
So, I mean, you could do it, or you can hire a professional to do it,
To write the RFP?
to write the
Okay,
RFP
that's what-
and oversee our interests. And it's, and
Oh, I
once-
get that,
And the
having an
next
owner-
phase, where we would be required to have an OPM, it's best to have somebody on board early so you don't get messed up early. So, yeah, I mean, it's sharp money for,
That's fine.
I've seen projects like, especially, right now, it's kind of, things are up in the air, but if you have somebody on board that's done 2 or 3, as a project manager, overseeing 2 or 3 senior centers, construction, that's a good thing to have. Somebody that has the experience and say, tell us, don't go this direction, go that direction. It's good to have.
On the writing of an RFP?
And it is
Yeah, I
highly
don't-
recommended in the, all the documents, like for construction, building construction, it's highly recommended that you get an OPM on board early. And at a feasibility stage, it should be really sharp money for big benefit.
So how do we pick, okay, I'm gonna,
Yeah, you got a $75,000 budget estimate, and you put in another $10,000 for an OPM, owner's project manager, and we go to town meeting, and if it's approved, the first thing you do is you put out a request for proposals for owner project manager, and then let them handle the rest of it.
Madam Chair.
Priscilla?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, on either side. If I recall correctly, when you were here, Annie, the last time, 70 Cedar Street would, if I'm correct, if I heard right, would not allow a one-story, it would not have enough room for a one-story building and a Legion-sized field. Is that correct?
We made a really loose plan with the help of planning department to make it as scale as possible, and it just barely fit with a 2-story, but we don't have any.
Two-story.
Yeah, but
Right.
we could, I mean, that's just to give us a visual. I don't think it's anything to base off of. At the meeting with the engineer, he seemed very confident that they could fit a 1-story with the field. But before, that was my main concern. In the updated proposal, they put in the request for the 1-story, but in the original proposals, that just wasn't clarified anywhere. But Tuesday, Scott from CME reassured us that it shouldn't be a problem, especially if they were looking at doing the 1 acre.
So if, my question is because I want to put this money into it, but if it's not even feasible for recreation, then it needs to be modified. So you can put a 1-story building and a Legion-sized field on 70 Cedar?
That's what
That's what
CME
they're
said on
telling
this
you?
past meeting on
Okay.
Tuesday.
And I know we're not going to use CME, but I just wanted to be sure that somebody has said that it can be done before we go looking for something that is not even a possibility.
Yeah.
and that's what the, part of the joint proposal was gonna tell us. What can you fit there?
That's what the feasibility study is for.
The parking isn't even listed on the latest proposal. On the first one, they didn't even have the
Yeah,
1-story.
I didn't even really think, when I saw this morning, that we would kind of review it, just because it's,
I personally think we ought to
Ridiculous.
just put 3807 aside. You people want 60 Cedar Street, do that. And then I do believe the senior center study committee does want a study done on 480 Main or 408 and 60. But I personally thought we were actually going to do a feasibility study, not just
I agree.
a proposal. So, I mean,
What's the point? I agree.
I think we ought to just,
So a question that
Wait.
I've asked several times is why we wouldn't wait for the fall meeting. If we were to go forward at this meeting, and let me know if I'm missing something. If at the special town meeting, the senior center was able to go forward with their request to finish their study, and then rec was able to go forward with their request for 60, is there any issue or problem that I'm maybe not seeing if then fall meeting, assuming we have a special town meeting in the fall, the senior center would, I'm assuming, be done a feasibility study within those 6 months, but I could be wrong. Why wouldn't we approach 70 at that time when they're given a clear direction of if they're staying, if they're moving, and if 60 and 70 aren't dependent on one another? Just where we're at, and just from this proposal reflects nothing we discussed on Tuesday, it really makes me nervous with pushing it forward even more, but I don't know if there's a hidden downside to either party.
I think we don't know. I think you've got to do the studies, and I don't know why we're calling it a feasibility study. You want to do a study on 480 to know what it's going to cost to meet the needs of the seniors on that site versus another building, a full understanding of those costs as well. You really can't make a decision on what you're doing with the seniors until you have a brand-new building versus a renovated building side by side to know what you're going to get. So those two have to happen either together or separately sometime or another. And then the whole issue with 60, that's a separate deal. And
Well, I would have liked to propose the single study for the 70 and the expansion on one warrant,
Yeah.
because they both work together. And that
Well-
would
see, I
eliminate
don't-
one warrant.
I don't know why, and again, we just don't pick numbers and put them in the warrant that are based upon some reasonableness and then go from there.
Yeah.
And then that gives us time to do the RFP, to scope it and all this other stuff.
I agree with that.
Did I just hear correctly that single study, does that mean, can you tell me what you mean by single study?
The study on the expansion on the senior center,
Right, and where it is now?
yeah,
Correct.
and the study for the new facility on 70
With or without recreation?
without,
without.
Without, that's how I understood it. Okay,
Okay.
I understood it correctly. Thank
Because
you.
the two work together.
Right, well, that makes sense, and I think it makes sense to do the same thing for rec. You know,
That's-
70 just with rec, so that you could really compare apples to apples. I have a follow-up question for the senior center committee. Just assume that we can't get, I know that it was assured that we could get a single floor and a legion-sized field hold. What if it was determined that the only way to do a joint and share with rec is if it was another multi-floor building? Would the seniors even be interested anymore in that? Because here's where I'm coming from. It seems like that particular question should be able to be answered relatively easily. And if we had that answer, let's say it came back and said, look, there's no way, then I think this whole idea of sharing 70 would go out the window. And then we would just look at leaving it only for recreation or leaving it only for the seniors and let the town decide. Because I don't understand why it takes months to get an answer as to what could physically fit on that particular 70. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It seems to me that if you eliminate the wetlands and everything, it should take an architect like a week maximum to say, you know, this is what's left. You can have, this is what a field requires, this is the kind of space you want, it doesn't fit, or it does fit. Because if it doesn't fit, why are we even bothering going forward with a joint feasibility study? Because the seniors don't want a multi-floor building, and I agree. I mean, the whole reason is to have single floor. But I just feel like that particular question could like eliminate one of the feasibility studies perhaps. Because I hate to spend money only to come back and be told, oh, yes, we can fit both, but it has to be multi-story. Then we're right back where we started from. Like, why can't that question get answered sooner?
Exactly.
And then my other, I just have one more, that's one thing.
Yeah,
Because I'm going to share my concerns with this joint. I feel like if that's the case, both parties do not get what they want, you know? It's a multi-million-dollar project, recreation gets one field out of it. It's a multi-million-dollar project, the senior center gets a multi-story building that they didn't want either. If that's it, I'm not for the joint, you know? I'd rather see it go to one purpose or the other.
well, Dan,
And then my other question is for Annie. Does the rec want to move forward at town meeting with 60 and CME? Or am I hearing that you would be okay with doing it, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be in the fall, let's say we had a special town meeting in August or whatever, with a new firm? Or do you want it in June with CME? I guess I don't know the answer to
Well,
that.
I'm under the impression that CME would only be giving us the quote towards the project, and this would still go out to bid, and we would most likely not be using, well, CME could come in, but another company could come in, but right now we're just using CME's as a financial guideline. But the
Oh,
committee
okay.
would most likely, and this is something I can circle back to them, I don't see why they would want to change the plans for 60.
Okay.
And I
So we
feel
can
more
put the-
confident knowing that it'll go out to bid.
Okay, so we put that amount of money that CME is saying it would cost, whether or not CME ends up being the
That's what
one.
I'm saying.
Okay,
Use
I
these
get it.
numbers, stick them in the warrants, and then we'll find another firm to do the work.
Okay.
answer your question?
Yes, answer that other question about the multi-story.
Well, at your last meeting, which I didn't make it to, but I did catch some of it on TV, that was the first time I heard of a two-story building on 1 acre, which we have now, anyway. I don't know where they got, you can only go on 1 acre out of 8. That's all we can have. That don't make sense to me. That's that, I understand there's 8 acres that are usable out of the 12.
Okay.
Why do we get 1 acre and the rest goes to the recreation department? I just don't understand that. And 45, no less than 45 parking spaces.
I
I
think they
can't
figured
conceive
the
that.
acre based off of the amount of square footage that you requested. But what I brought up at the last meeting was if it needs to be 1 story, that was never told to rec and it wasn't in the proposal. It's in the updated proposal. That's clarified now. But they were basing the 1 acre off of what you guys requested for square footage. And we had in 60 parking spots, not your 45.
Yeah, but the square footage that was requested was not limiting it to 2 stories as it is now. I mean, I don't know why they put 2 stories. They should have said,
Never broke.
this would be 2 stories, or 1 story, you don't have enough land.
Yeah, that's why I said at the last meeting, if
Yeah.
it needs to be 1
Yeah.
story, that should be
Yeah,
written or
but
mentioned at
that's,
some point.
but, you know, I agree with Ken, you know, we never heard of 2 stories on that.
And that's why we never heard of 1 story, and it's in the updated proposal, and it's clarified now.
Well-
But we wouldn't have known.
Well,
Right, because
with-
if the wrong thing was written.
Jeff,
Yeah.
we gotta,
To circle back,
yep, to the beginning.
we can take 3 numbers, have 3 warrant articles, and then spend the time figuring this out
Yeah.
and get to an RFP. Because you're not going to solve it, again, we're
Today.
not going to solve any of this today.
Nope.
The idea is to get something on the warrant so we can get it to town meeting and then figure out what's next.
But their numbers are just outrageous. I can't imagine that these numbers are going to get approved at
Well,
town
I
meeting.
think, I don't know, because these numbers, maybe not, but I think what we would look for, particularly in the joint proposal, is something more than what they're willing to give us in this, because you want an actual cost estimate of a building. You just don't want to know if it'll fit. You want to know what it's going to cost you.
Exactly.
including owners' representatives and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
So you're
but,
actually going to ask for more than what they're intending to provide at this
I
point.
yeah,
I
but
would
like from Rex's perspective, 70 with recreational fields only, 67.5?
We were told it'd be 1,500.
Right, no, at town meeting, who's going to approve almost 70,000 for just recreational fields with no sewer, no water, no building? It's bizarre that that figure is that, and then the senior center is $6,000 less. We also have to put figures in that the townspeople are going to find reasonable, because recreation will probably get struck down with that. I mean, $70,000 for a feasibility study for fields only?
Yeah, but see, it isn't even really a, for the
Whatever
senior
it
center,
is.
it's not really a feasibility study. I mean, to me,
It should be the original
yeah,
price
to
that we were
me,
given.
I think the
Right.
rec
Stick a
committee,
number in there.
yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to be in it.
I'd rather pull the joint one for now.
I
Until
agree.
we have
I agree.
more information. The rec wants to move ahead with
60.
60. The seniors thought they were getting a real feasibility study, not just a proposal on, you
Then
know.
we're going to have to re-RFP the one for 480 Main to get an architect to give them what it's going to cost,
Yep.
what it's going to cost the town to implement the needs assessment
Yep.
on that property.
Yep.
So we'll have to do that.
Yeah,
So
and,
now you're down
and the
to two
same,
warrant articles.
and the same with 70 Cedar Street, because it was supposed to be a comparison of addition or renovation 480 or new 70, something to compare.
I know, but if your intention is to still allow recreation and opportunity on 70, you have to have some kind of joint look at that. Because if you go to an architect and say, you have 70 Cedar, go use as much as you need for that for a senior center, then you lose all possibility of recreation because they're going to consume the space. You're going to have to provide
that's-
some allocation to 70 for recreation, or some look at 70 for recreation.
Mary?
I agree with what you're saying for the senior center. Here's where 60, the original figures that CMA gave to recreation were much better than these. So they've got their proposal for 60, right? And if I recall, them adding 70 for recreation only was what,
$11,300.
was $11,000. So CME, they don't need an architect. Okay, so we're talking about two different things. The senior centers need an architect. We need to get a new firm for them. But if we're going forward with 60 fees, study for recreation, it's only $11,000 more for them to look at 72. And then rec is done with the exception of the joint proposal, which we're gonna do later. They should do all of that in June. They should do 60 and 70 with rec only, because it's only gonna cost us $11,000. And then the joint proposal is not gonna be CME, it's going to be whoever has the architectural firm, which would look at the senior center addition, the senior center on 70, and the joint proposal on 70. But it doesn't make sense to leave out 70 recreation only when it's $11,000. You should be able to move forward with both of them in June.
That was what we said the other day.
It should be, you know, and then, it's not that we're not gonna do the senior center, it's just that for 11,000 more, you can do all of what you want to do.
I just don't know if you do that, well,
I
it's
know.
fine.
It's convoluted, and if we don't make
It's not
something,
convoluted. I think if
some
you look at
decision,
70, one-
we'll be
one-
building a home for the
You're
elderly
gonna have
there.
clash. You're gonna have it looked,
You are gonna.
and
Yeah.
you gotta do it as, in its entirety.
Madam Chair?
Ken?
Yeah, when Ashley, before Ashley left, she got a quote from Evelyn Cole Smith. That was the architect that did the needs assessment. And she gave us a quote of $20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah, so for the architectural side of it. And then CME gave us the engineering side, and we added the two together, and that's where we come up with the requested amount for the expansion.
I have to run and get
Expansion.
my kids.
Oh, okay,
Guys,
Jason.
guys,
We'll
yeah, keep me
still be
posted,
here.
please. Yeah, I know, I'll loop back around. That's it.
So to make things sure, we don't need an architectural quote for the senior center, because we already have one.
I'm curious about the amount of money that you're talking, $11,000 for a feasibility study for recreation on 70 Cedar Street, because that might be without doing the existing conditions, site plan, topography, and all that, because
They just said it was
that's a
added
big
on.
chunk of CME's proposal, is doing a perimeter survey and doing a topographic survey of the land, and that's, I think between the perimeter survey, it amounts to half of the cost of the
Core
the whole
samples.
project. And maybe in that original estimate, they might have been saying, okay, we'll use Google Maps, Google Earth to design fields, just on a very preliminary basis. So you might not be talking apples and oranges there, or you might be talking.
It was in addition to the 74,300, and I have all of the emails, and I said that we
Oh, it
need
was
a,
in addition to the 74?
for, per each
Contingent on
additional.
them doing 60.
Oh, okay,
So no, this is separate from 60. So for looking at 70 Cedar Street,
yeah,
we had said to the engineers, what if the senior center ends up not looking at 70 Cedar Street? They stay where they are. We need a backup plan. What should we expect for funds so we don't have to come to a future town meeting? So the original proposal that we had,
Okay.
that was for both parties, provided us with 3 conceptual plans.
Okay.
Pete from CME said rec could receive a 4th conceptual plan that showed 70 Cedar Street rec amenities only for $1,500 more. And I asked about that on Tuesday again, and I said, so when you look at 70 Cedar Street senior only, 70 Cedar Street senior center only, wouldn't that be a 5th conceptual plan at an additional $1,500? And, I
Yeah.
mean, Scott agreed on Tuesday. That's why I can't.
I don't remember that conversation.
Well, I verified it with Ann, I have it all in email, it's what we based
Not
off
what
of
we
it.
talked about on Tuesday.
What?
I don't remember that conversation with
Me,
Scott.
Ann, Ken,
With
and Scott stood there and discussed it, and I went over the numbers and I showed the email. So this is why I'm so flabbergasted to even be looking at this for the 67 and the 61, because we were already told that with the original proposal, $1,500 more, we can see a conceptual plan that shows rec only. So never in a million years would this make sense.
What was the figure for doing 60 for recreation
This is a mess.
plus 70 for recreation, not seniors?
I think we bail on the
What
whole
was-
thing.
What
I
was the
agree.
quote for that?
I agree.
Run.
Because that was a separate warrant article. 60 for recreation and 70, what would 70 cost for recreation? Not looking at anything else. Did
If
you-
you're not looking at anything else, the number that we have for 70 alone is different. When you do the joint, if we were looking at 60 and 70.
And I thought they also gave
Yeah.
you, I could be wrong, but I thought in our meeting, they also gave you a reduced amount if they did 60 and 70.
Yeah, it's only 11,000 more if you do them both at the same time.
That's why I said contingent, and you said yes.
yeah, that's
Right.
where I'm going, that.
Right,
can't be.
so if they do 60 and
Something
they do
weird
70
there.
rec only, it's an extra 11,000, not counting
I don't
any
believe
joint
it.
proposals,
Matt,
right? And with the joint proposal, it was 1,500 by looking conceptually at rec only.
Per extra,
this is-
per each conceptual
this, to
plan.
me, is going absolutely
Yeah.
nowhere.
Nowhere.
Except in
I-
a spiral going nowhere.
I know. I would be perfectly comfortable with letting rec do what they want to do.
I totally agree with you.
Well, on
then-
70, if you're gonna give one access to 70, you gotta give the other one access to 70.
You're gonna have a hard time.
And
Yeah,
you
and
can
you're
only-
right, though, you're gonna pit them. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we
You're
would
right.
have come and requested the property originally.
But
We've been working
it's
really
just-
hard to make it so they're
I mean-
not pinned against one another.
know.
But
And that's
Senior
hard.
Center
It's
Study
hard.
Committee is not getting what they want. They're not
Right,
getting a
they're not.
feasibility study.
That's all we're asking.
So I think they ought to be pulled. We ought to get an RFP out for someone to do a real feasibility study. I mean, they can look at 70. in the feasibility study. We don't have to, you know,
Whatever y'all want to do.
yeah, I mean.
But we just have to decide what it is we want to do.
Yeah.
What do you think is in the best interest for the community? What do you
Well,
think?
the only question I have is, do you want to get something on the June warrant?
Of course.
I
yeah.
know
Well,
that
I know
recreation
rec
does.
definitely does.
Okay,
And we thought we
so-
did too, but it isn't what we wanted to get on the warrant. It's
Well, the
not a-
warrant
yeah.
isn't, you can write the warrant and what you want, and you can put a cost estimate in it,
Right.
the way you want it to be, and then if it gets approved, then you go do the RFP and everything, and you understand what you're looking for. Because really, the critical path is the warrant,
Right.
right?
Well, we'll have to change the wording, definitely.
You'll have to change the wording on the warrant.
So much money, $101 for a feasibility study for senior center at,
Well, we gotta
Or-
go,
But you can still have 3 different
yeah.
warrant articles.
Yeah, that's just a proposal. That's, you know, feasibility study entails much more. It's got dollar amounts
Yeah.
on construction and,
Yeah, we will want to compare dollar amounts.
Can we
That's
allow
kinda the way-
the town administrator to finish his
finish?
thought, please?
You can still have your 3 separate warrant articles, one for rec on 60, one to do the full hard look at 480 Main to implement the needs assessment. And then you put another article, the joint article on there that looks at the 3, just like we talked
3
about
options,
Tuesday,
yeah.
the 3 options with a full-blown cost estimate for each one of those options on 70. And that's the only way you're really going to know what you want to do and what you can do.
And what you can do.
If you're not,
Yeah, I
if you're
totally
not
agree.
willing to, if you want a better proposal for all that, you're going to have to wait and miss the June warrant. Or you just take a guesstimate.
Would that be in our best interest, in your opinion, having experienced more than any of us, in your opinion,
Except maybe Mike.
who would be best served, not as a TA, who would be best served to, in what way would the town and all the parties interested be best served? To try this now, to do this in July? I mean, you want the best outcome for everybody.
Well, I think what the Board of Selectmen and the community want to know, and I think the seniors as well, if we have to stay at 480, what does that cost the community to renovate and rehabilitate 480? You want that number no matter
Yeah,
what.
absolutely.
Right? The rec department and its constituents wants to know, what's it going to cost to put a synthetic field on 60
60.
with parking and everything else? So you know those are the 2 questions you want answered, no matter what.
Right.
So then you need to know, what do you really want to accomplish? What can you, not what you want, but what can you accomplish on 70? Can you get a 1-story senior building with maybe some rec fields out there? You don't know that yet, and you don't know what the cost would be. So I think you want 2 specific warrant articles on there. The third one is really where the question is.
Right.
What do you want to do with 70? Do you want the joint article on there? That way you can answer all these questions and decide what's in the best interest of the community and how you use 70 Cedar Street. Can you accomplish 2 things on it, or is it only good for one of the purposes?
Madam Chair, my concern is just that I'm afraid 70 will throw out
60.
60 and yeah, I'm really afraid of that.
Or-
Well, I mean, when people see 3 choices,
It's hard.
and one of the choices has the other 2 in it, that's the one they're gonna go for,
Yeah.
you know?
And they're gonna lose 60.
60's gonna lose.
Well, I think 60 is going to be a multi-use field. And I think that's the way the warrant has to be written. That you're looking to develop a multi-use field on 60 Cedar Street to accommodate XYZ. Then on 70, you're going to say baseball and softball fields, not Legion fields or whatever. You're going to say baseball and softball fields, or a seniors building on 70. You're going to show that there's differences in what the amenities are going to be. And you know the town better than I do, what they'll vote for and what they won't vote for. But I think those are the questions you want answered. How you get there is,
That's the problem right now.
Yeah, I know how to get
Yeah.
there. Well, the articles are certainly going to have to be rewritten. We have a meeting on the 30th.
I won't be here, but that doesn't stop you or anything. I just wanted to tell, I will send you my thoughts if I see that.
Yeah, we can
Whatever.
open the warrant and
Yeah.
put them in, vote, and either just place or place and support. Mary?
Okay. I think that, my only problem is using the figures that CME provided, which we all think are unreasonable in certain instances, and we use these figures, and they're not really how much it's gonna cost. I feel like they might get shot down. You know, I mean, we already looked at these numbers and said, you know, we don't think these are great numbers. So we're gonna use these as the basis for our warrant article? I don't know. I mean, if it really won't cost $67,000 to find out rec only on 70, and another firm's gonna do it for 25,000, the money alone could shoot it down, you know? I mean, I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse. We don't like CME, we don't like their numbers. We know we wanna go out and look elsewhere. But yet, in terms of getting the voters to vote, we're using their numbers. You know, there's a little bit of not making sense to me as far as that goes. We're asking the people to vote on numbers that we also don't support. That's my problem. I don't have the solution for it, but that's why I was wondering how both felt about waiting till we have other numbers. I mean, we're gonna put a guesstimate down. I'm being redundant now, but we're saying, look, we don't like CME. We don't think they've been reliable. We think their numbers don't make sense. They're higher than the numbers originally given to RAC. They weren't forthright about not having an architect. On and on and on. We're going to look elsewhere. And now, the number that we're inserting for the June is the numbers that CME gave.
Jeff?
Then don't go in June.
No,
Don't.
that's,
Rewrite your RFPs, get the RFPs on the street, and get new numbers, and then come back for a special town meeting later in the year to get the money to actually do the studies. Those are your choices.
Well, that was why I asked REC. I mean, as far as 60 goes, because they don't need an architect for that, that was a reasonable number. So 60 could still be on the June warrant, and 70, with all of its nuances, you know, senior center
special.
only, joint, rec only, why isn't that looked at after? I don't know, with new numbers. That would be my 2 cents.
no, that's what,
That's fine.
I mean, a follow-up phone call to CME could also drastically change this, just starting with the first question of how do you remove 12 acres and increase the price $300? I don't,
'cause
that right
Annie-
off the bat.
Annie, on the wetlands, have they been flagged, or is this just somebody eye glancing?
What do you mean?
To know the actual usable acreage on 70?
It's all eye glancing. So the whole
Oh,
property
well,
is 14
which
for
throws
70. When we removed 60 from the language, we removed 12 acres to be looked at, and the cost of the proposal went up $300. Right off, I wouldn't have even really, I didn't think we'd get into so much of a discussion just because I thought this proposal was, I mean, I genuinely thought it was a mistake. I definitely didn't think that it was something we'd base anything off of, just looking at number 1 alone. Remove 12 acres, but increase the cost of 300.
Right, does make sense.
Never mind, I mean, 2 and 3. I don't know. I don't really have too much to say. I definitely didn't think we would get into a deep discussion just because it seems so ridiculous, starting at option number 1. If it's possible, I mean, we already have their proposals. I don't know if the senior center's looking for the feasibility study, I don't know what they're missing from this. I don't see why we couldn't do the joint project in the 75,000 to the 100,000 range based off of how much it costs for the owner's project manager, if we wanted to go forward with that. But to have those 2 numbers reflected for number 2 and number 3,
The original was
74,300, yeah.
Right, for the two.
Then we removed 60, which is 12 acres, but the cost went up $300.
Because 60 was the
We
separate.
removed 60 from the language of the first proposal, so that took 12 acres off. And the second proposal, that it's $300 higher, just for zero explanation when it should have decreased. So that makes me, like, number 2 and number 3. I don't know if there's miscommunication within CME or not, but
Well, we need to move,
Yeah.
What do you think of the 43.3
right.
for 60?
but we need to.
that's stayed
Right,
consistent.
she means right now.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for the rest of the board members. What does everybody think about CME's proposal on 60 for 43.3? We can put a warrant article for that. That's not affecting 70 at all.
No, that's what,
That is a separate warrant.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
the rec really
So the two separate
wants.
ones seem to be fine. What I'm just
Yeah,
saying for the
right.
third number, I wouldn't think you would total the 74, 67, and 61 for your placeholder. The 74,600, I think that should be our guideline for a placeholder for the 70 Cedar Street combined project. Just based off of the information that CME's given us and what they've said in their emails, the
Well,
67 and 61.
Stop. 74 is going to be light, because this includes nothing about a building. It includes a square footprint. It doesn't say what the HVAC is going to cost. It doesn't say what the site work is going to cost. It doesn't say what the roof's going to cost. It doesn't say what FF&E is going to cost. So $75,000 on a joint proposal, if you want to compare it to 480 Main, is light.
Yeah, and that's what I said. If this isn't enough for senior center, it's the proposal we've had in front of us.
Yeah, it's a
Because it was
proposal.
never-
It's not a study that's been
It was
done.
never told the CME that that's what we wanted to do.
Oh. Seems like a couple of wasted months.
I would agree.
Yeah,
Well,
because and I think the whole reason we didn't have the supportive capital project was because at that time, we hadn't even spoke to the senior center, but there was talk in the air that we might do a joint project, so we lost the supportive capital. It's just been really frustrating for rec when we have
So I
plans
think
to
it's up
push
to the board
forward.
now to decide what you want to do.
okay, ideas.
I want to go with 60 at least.
Yes, okay.
I
so-
definitely want to put 60 on that warrant item.
Okay,
Are we going to use CME for it?
As a number, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know if you're going to use them if.
Well, we can put that number, and then you
Yeah.
can decide if you want CME or somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Well,
This is the worst-case scenario,
Wouldn't it
43.3.
have to go to bid, or no, because it's just below 50,000?
Yeah, it's 49, right? The 149,000, item 60, I mean, item,
43.3.
43, yeah.
oh. Hang on.
I mean, we could put 43.3 in, and then if you find somebody for less, even better.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no commitment at this point as to who they hire.
So is this Article 42 that changed to 41?
where's the warrant?
Because Article 41 initially was different, and we said that Article 42 would become 41. Page
Yes,
21. So is that the article we're talking about right now?
yes,
The 42 converted to 41?
yeah.
Okay.
And in the article.
Instead of
it's-
49,000?
And in the article, it's got 49,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why don't we go with 49?
Yeah.
Gives her leverage. I mean, it was there to begin with.
Yeah.
Why take it
Why
out?
Change it. You may-
What does the senior center have for warrants? There were just two before this joint, right?
Right. So, on the rec one, Article 42,
41.
it's going to become 41.
41. Can I make a motion?
It's to,
Can I make a motion? I make a motion that we place and support Article 42, which now becomes 41, for a feasibility study for 60 Cedar Street for recreation facilities.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Amount of 49,000.
Right,
Yeah, it's
49,000.
Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor?
Right.
4-0. Okay, that's done.
And let me ask,
Mary?
just, I know we're starting to repeat ourselves, but how fast, I know you said the numbers couldn't be in, and Barbara indicated, put a placeholder and then we could fill it in June, and you said the numbers wouldn't be in by then, Jeff. When would numbers be in? Would they be in time for a special town meeting in August, 2 months later?
Probably.
So
But-
that presents a problem because in August, there's no more free cash until it's recertified, which is end of September, beginning of October.
Also, a lot of vacations in August, you won't get a good turnout.
So we have 2 warrants, or just one on the,
You have none right now.
so we have none.
Yeah, senior center is not.
Right.
So we either gonna have one or the other, I think we should. Why should we be left out completely?
Well, I don't think you should, but personally, I don't think we're getting what I thought we were gonna get. This is just a
Well,
proposal.
we're not.
With,
We're not.
no, I know.
Why-
So,
We're getting nothing.
so I firmly believe that, we do need,
I mean, we're the one that
request-
reached out to them, to see if we could work out something together. Now we're end up, they're getting everything, we're getting.
No, they're not getting,
No, they
nobody
don't.
has
Also,
70.
We don't need the full feasibility study. You would have known several months ago that this wasn't adequate, instead of just knowing that tonight.
What's that?
If the proposal that we have, if you need a full feasibility study that goes in depth into all the details of your building, you would have known that was missing off of this proposal for the past couple months. At that point, we probably would have just separated, because our request is relatively low, financially speaking, relatively simple. But this, we've had the same proposal in front of us, we've been making tweaks. We didn't just pull out your whole search into your building and those details.
Can I just say something? They are not moving forward on 70. 60 was already in the care and custody of recreation all along. We're not moving forward with 70 for recreation right now. All we did is vote on the warrant article for 60. It's got nothing to do with 70. So when you said they're getting everything they want, they're also interested in 70. We don't have a warrant article for 70 for recreation right now either. This is just land that was already in the care and control of recreation for several years. And they're moving forward with one field. That's kind of different.
realize that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think we're like
But why
giving
don't,
them everything and
Madam Chair,
can't we have an article for
Priscilla,
can we just move this along?
existing.
Can we move this?
I know, we've got to move, we've got to decide what to do then with the,
Why can't we have an article for renovation?
That's right,
Why do we have nothing?
right. I mean, I thought we were.
But-
Because you
there's no architect with this firm.
Well,
What we would really need is a request for proposal, but in the scope of work, we need all that, parking, building, and that will take a while to write.
It's CME that's let us down.
It won't be ready for June, and
for the renovation, it won't be ready for June.
well, the thing is,
Because we got the quote from the architect, Lee Smith.
if you think the senior center building committee is just all for renovation addition, that's fine. But since day one, how many years now? 3? It's always been renovation addition or new place.
Right.
So we don't know the cost on any of those. That's
know
why it
that.
was supposed to go to a full feasibility study, not just a proposal. So we need to put out an RFP, request for a proposal for a feasibility study for both those. And then the Senior Center Study Committee can determine which one they want to move forward with. Or even at a town meeting, you could put both on and let the townspeople vote. We did that with Burgess. There was a cost amount for a new building someplace, there was a cost for
Right, the
renovation
comparison.
addition, and people voted renovation
May cost
addition.
more to renovate, who knows?
So,
We'd have to have that
I
study to
personally
find out.
think that we need to get a request for proposal on a full feasibility study
And put it off, and you're saying put it
put it
off till
off.
till the fall?
till fall.
If you make that a motion,
I-
if you're making a motion, I would second it.
Okay, Mike?
I just wanted to say that obviously we're struggling with scoping the project. And that's something that an owner's project manager could help us with, and the committee working with the town administrator, and then they could come back in the fall with a article. If we, it's unusual to go out to professionals with, for requests for proposals without having an appropriation. That's not very common. What you do is you call a professional and say, you know, somebody that you know that's done this kind of work, and you would say, based on your experience, you know, what are we looking at? Then they give you a budget figure, you go to town meeting, get an appropriation, and then you set it out for proposals.
We just went out for a proposal on the senior center thing,
Yeah.
and it was a
On the
request.
senior center thing?
Yes, on, Ken, what was it called? Well, yeah, but, I mean, I forget the title.
But I would say,
No, we didn't, we just went with CME on that one, which,
I
no,
would just
after
say-
that, Leon wrote it up. We were looking, I know, we were looking for land or building,
Yeah,
Yeah.
RFP, yeah, for
you know,
buildings to run.
That's,
and we got zero
Well, let me-
response.
can I,
Anyways,
I have a question.
Okay.
It's very related.
1 minute, we're out of here at
Okay,
3:15.
Do we gain anything by, I know they're gonna walk away thinking, oh my gosh, it's got put off to the fall, and I get it. But are we gaining anything by guesstimating what it's gonna cost and having a warrant article? We'd still, even if the money got appropriated, we'd still have to put a request for an RFP. So are we really even gaining, would we gain anything in terms of having a warrant article for them? I'm getting the sense that we wouldn't, right? Well, in one case, money's appropriated, and then we go out for a request. The other way of doing it is we don't have a warrant article now, and we still go out for a request, and then put the accurate amount of money in.
Yeah, but
Those are the two different ways to do it. I don't think they're not gaining anything.
But on this, you'd be going out for money for just a proposal, which is not what we want.
I get it, so I know, I'm saying, we're not gaining anything by having a warrant article now, I get it.
We'll be
We would
Gaining
be
a whole
by
lot.
We would
knowing
be,
we had some money to spend
Oh, okay.
after, on June 4.
yeah.
Oh, okay, see,
That's the benefit, is it wouldn't be, we could then move to contract if we had an architect.
then I would support that.
Yeah.
Knowing that we have the money for them, I would support that in the June.
For which project, though?
For the joint project. I would support it for the joint project,
And
well, and including the feasibility comparison with the 480
We're
Main
back to
Street.
3 warrant articles.
We don't
And,
have a feasibility.
and,
It's not gonna work.
We don't have a feasibility for 40 Main.
what?
forget it.
No,
It's not gonna work.
I'll make a motion that we appropriate. And the worst thing that could happen is we go out for proposals, and we have to go back to town meeting in the fall for additional funds. But then we'll know how much money it is. But if we appropriate some money now that may be ballpark, and I mean, we've got I would say $20,000 in addition to the $73,000 plus $10,000 for an owner's project manager should be around $100,000. So let's appropriate $100,000 for the joint proposal and request proposals after June or due after July 1st.
But that's not gonna include renovating the existing building?
Well, They,
If it
that
doesn't,
would,
you gotta-
that's a separate article anyhow, right? And we already, you haven't
That's
put that one
not
on?
on there yet.
That's
That's
even
not on there, yeah, because that's just a proposal. Well, make the motion so
Right,
we
no,
can...
Yeah, the motion is, can we just move this a little bit quicker?
Yeah.
She's got a motion.
We appropriate $100,000 for a joint feasibility study of recreation and senior center at 70 Cedar Street.
I'll second for the purposes of discussion. I just have to ask this. This includes nothing in terms of their existing building, right? It's just.
Right, he's just doing
Okay.
Yeah,
70.
And it's
but
not.
It's
I'm-
just one site, it's site-based
No, 'cause
feasibility.
I think that it has to go to the townspeople with them knowing
There has,
both. I
Yeah.
feel like that's, they
Well,
can't just look at the joint. They gotta see what it would cost to do the other building too. So I really think it's better to do those together.
So how much-
Maybe we should have the right numbers. So
Is that enough to cover if they need a full feasibility though, when we're basing that quote off of just a proposal for services?
Right.
That's my only concern too, is if you guys are missing a lot of information that you need to finish your comparison.
Yeah, we
But-
need a full feasibility
I
study.
agree with
The
Mary.
quote that we have is just
So,
for proposal.
I am,
Can we move the question then? If we're ready?
so you did get a quote for $20,000 for doing the existing senior center, completing the feasibility study?
23,000.
Huh?
23,000 was...
23,000?
But this
for
is
the- no,
separate. This
not
is
for
separate.
full, for his proposal.
For the
This
proposal.
proposal only,
Yeah.
not for full feasibility study.
I think
Right.
Mary's way.
Because this, even the
Oh.
letter from CME
I
says...
thought that was separate from CME.
No,
Oh,
In
that's
addition.
all from
So
CME.
I-
He got a
think
$20,000 estimate from Lynn Smith, who had been the architect for CME, but has now opened her own shop.
Yeah.
I think the best
Oh,
thing
and
for you
I
guys
thought
to
that
do
was
is
to complete the,
do it
because
all together.
we've already paid for a feasibility study
know.
at 480.
I'm going to withdraw my second. I think Mary's got
Bless you.
the clearest way to do it. I do. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I think 70 we need to get the architect in. And I don't think it should go to seniors or recreation until we go out for firm numbers.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the joint proposal has been pulled?
I pulled my second to his
she
motion.
pulled the second, so I don't have a second.
There's no second, so it's...
So it's dead. So now is the joint proposal dead for this round? For
Yes.
ATM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So then, I don't know how you people feel about the proposal for 480 Main. Again, if you read it carefully, it's just a proposal. It's not really a feasibility study.
That's not what we did, we've
No,
had that already. I
There are
mean,
no costs, they don't do this, they don't do that. So, to me, it's, if you agree with Jeff, it's money there, but it's not money there for what we really want. We need to get a number for a full feasibility study, and we need to put requests for proposals out for that. And I think, Jeff, you've written proposals, haven't you? And you can look at the needs assessment, and there's enough information there to,
Well, the needs assessment
Yeah.
will be part of the RFP.
yeah.
Can I just add
Mary?
something? Because I really feel bad for the seniors and all this. I don't disagree with Mary, but I just want to give Jeff a little background. I actually thought when we had that needs assessment, that
That
was
was-
the feasibility study.
And that's
What
what the
that-
money was appropriated for.
I know, and so then they were a year behind because we told them, that's only a needs assessment, we need a feasibility study. And I feel like we're right back where we started with them. It's nobody's fault. It's CME not doing what I thought they were gonna do. So I really think that it has to be a priority of Jeff's to work with the senior center group so that we get that feasibility study done as correctly and as soon as possible, right after cash is certified, like the end of August, beginning of September, because now it's another year
End of
later.
September.
And I really thought the needs
September
assessment was the
30th.
feasibility.
Yes, no, and that was confusing from day one.
Yeah.
But Ken can attest, From day one, I kept saying, this is
know.
not a feasibility study, this is a needs assessment study. And as far as waiting, I mean, I would rather wait, get correct numbers and do it correctly. None of these projects take a year or two to do. And don't forget, anything we put on the warrant also has to fly by the FinCom. And that's a difficult hurdle, so.
And
I
they're not
would-
going to go for guesstimate numbers. I mean,
No.
I think you just go forward with 60, and nobody gets anything on 70 right
Priscilla?
now.
So does that remove what was the old 41, and it should remove 40, the new 42, 44, 45, and 46? Is that correct?
It would remove what is 41 there now.
What was 41?
Yeah,
Right,
was.
okay.
It
Okay.
would remove.
42? With the,
Um,
what
no,
was
42
43?
is on, that's the rec.
What was 43?
What was 43?
44
44
and 45
45.
and 46?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, the one that we said becomes 41 is still correct. That, so we go 41 and then it will change all the other numbers, obviously, but,
Right. Then it
okay,
picks up again at 47.
7, okay.
Okay, so is there a motion on that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I think that's you.
All opposed? 3-1.
Well, senior centers, is there a number for the parking at the senior center? Did you have an amount?
We removed it.
I
Didn't we?
like to address
We-
that.
We removed that.
I supported it, but
It was removed.
you can make a request to the
Okay.
majority.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't in the majority.
No, he wasn't.
No,
here.
he can make a request
wasn't there.
for someone in the majority to make a motion. That's why I said a request. I said, you know, that we should
Wait.
have you explain it.
Yeah, it's $20,000. We spent well over $200,000 in the last few years doing, air conditioning, central air conditioning, heating system, roofing. We repaved the parking lot with inadequate amount of parking. There's a plan out there that shows an additional 14 spaces, but they're going to remove anyhow 2 spaces in the front because they're marked too close together. So we'd end up with an additional 12 spaces for $20,000, and you see the numbers on the plan, it's actually less than that, substantially.
Well, wait a minute, you're already, I'm sorry.
But I'm
You're
just
already-
arguing,
Excuse me, Mike.
yes?
There's no, yeah.
Chill.
Yeah.
You need to just request somebody in the
majority.
majority to reconsider
Reconsider.
the vote, then you can explain.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will someone in the majority of the vote reconsider,
Make a motion to
make
reconsider.
a motion to reconsider the article?
Can I also say something to that?
No, discussion comes after
No?
motions. Okay, fails because of a second.
Well, and since I wasn't here, I'll ask that the article for Route 20 improvements?
Well, wait a minute, Mike, we're not talking
Okay,
about warrant articles,
okay.
other than, you know.
Well, we just talked about warrant articles.
Because budget, and I
budget
had Jeff
items.
check to see if we could, because it was listed under budget.
It was listed under budget, but the other articles are not?
They don't have money in them.
But you have to remember, all that, Mike, all the renovations that's been done was for maintenance mostly, not just for seniors. I mean, the roof leak, the
Yeah, we-
windows,
New roof?
But Ken, we're also doing that at the safety complex, too.
No, those are good things that we did.
You know.
I think
Yeah.
his point was, we've already done a lot short term. This is a small amount of money that will
This is
rectify a present need.
A
And I
real
think he's,
serious need, and I'll swear, if somebody gets injured crossing the street, I'm
Okay,
gonna...
but Mike,
oh,
that's
my
not a
God.
discussion for...
Yes, it is.
No, it wasn't on.
Well,
the
I'm a member of
agenda.
this board and I
You
can
can-
discuss things, right?
Only if I recognize.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Are we ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Opposed.
3-1.